Hi YouTube, it's Kathy and this is my weekly entertainment wrap-up for May 21st through 27th. This week I read one book, I watched one show, and I listened to one book. I would say quick travel update, but this is actually going to be quite the story time. Usually I just tell you where I am in the trip, but today we're going to talk about the fact that the last time you saw me, I was in Sighisoara. The day after that, we actually came back to Bucharest, which is where we are now. We got up decently early, and the first thing I usually do when I wake up is I turn on my phone, I turn on my Wi-Fi, and I just do a couple of things that I usually do first thing in the morning. But the Wi-Fi wasn't working. And one of the things I usually do in the morning is actually do the morning Wordle. It kind of just wakes up my brain a little bit. I've done it like over 400 times now. Yes, I'm one of those people that's still doing it. But I couldn't do that because didn't have Wi-Fi. It wasn't working in the pension we were staying at, which is fine. So we got ourselves together, we got dressed, we packed up our bags, and we went downstairs in the pension, which is like up a small flight of stairs and then down 2 flights of stairs, one of which you will hit your head on if you don't pay any attention. And then the reception area is just kind of locked off with this barred door, so it's kind of like a jail cell type situation. It's padlocked, so you can't get into that section unless they're around, which they're not usually around because it's a pension, it's not a hotel. So Chad took the key and just tossed it on top of the desk through the bar, which I thought was like really well done, because if it was me I would have just tossed it on the floor, but he actually got it like up and on the desk, which I was very impressed by. So we continue on our day, we walk down out of the old town. It's actually like a beautiful day. We've got all of this time. We don't have to worry about being late and all of that. And we get to the train station about 15 minutes away or so, buy our tickets, and they let us know that the train is actually delayed by about an hour because it's actually part of a very long train route and somewhere along the way it got delayed. And we're like, no, that's fine. There's a coffee shop. We're gonna go have coffee. We'll read books. This is great. We're having a lovely day. So we're sitting there and we're reading our books in the coffee shop, having just had some coffee, and out of absolutely nowhere, like I checked to make sure what I was reading on the page and it had nothing to do with what I was reading on the page, my brain went, you forgot to pack something very, very important. So I put my phone down, because that's what I'm reading on, immediately, and just like am frantically opening my backpack, and I'm like, we need to go back. And Chad's like, why? I'm like, I didn't pack my laptop. It's under the bed back at the pension. At this point, it's 9:25 a.m., which is when our train was supposed to leave. But obviously it has that hour delay, so I'm like, okay, maybe we can actually get this done. Maybe we can go. We didn't have any Wi-Fi there, so we couldn't try to call the pension or anything like that. So we're like, when we get to the old town square, we can try it from there, because we know if we stood outside the pension, which didn't have Wi-Fi at that point, it wouldn't be working. So we get a cab, because I was like, I know it's only 15 minutes, but it's like all uphill and we are in a hurry. So we get a cab up to the old town square, and we sit in the old town square. Chad actually sits there for a little while and tries to contact, and I go down to the pension just to knock on the door, just to see if she happens to be in there, because that would have been great. I don't think she actually lives there though, because nobody answered my door knock. So I'm doing that for a little while, and Chad comes down to find me, because the square is not very far away. It's like 2 streets away type of thing, but it's far enough that like we can't just yell to each other, because that would be super obnoxious, and obviously we don't have Wi-Fi, we don't have phone numbers here. So he comes down and finds me, and we go sit back in the square, and I'm just jittery and make like a Facebook message that is basically like, I hope you never feel the panic of being at the train station and then realizing that your laptop is back under the bed of the pension you were just staying at. Something to that effect. So he's contacted them, but they haven't picked up, and he sent messages through the service that we used to book it in the first place. So we're basically just playing the waiting game, and I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna go back and just like knock again, see if maybe something has happened, anything like that. So I go back, and as I'm knocking on the door again, this older gentleman is walking down the street carrying like a bag of groceries, and I only speak English and he only speaks Romanian, but from what I could gather from the charades and him just saying what he was saying, like more slowly and a little bit louder each time, which I'm glad people from other languages also do, because that's definitely all English people do, myself included. He kind of makes enough hand gestures to be like, key? There's a woman standing at the end of the corner. And I'm like, she has a key? And he just kind of like is, yeah, and continues on his way. So I go down the street. She's seen us having this interaction, and I'm just like, hi, I think you have a key for that pension? And she's like, yeah, what's up, basically. I mean, she's also older, so she didn't say exactly that, but I'm like, I was staying there. We gave back our key and my laptop is under the bed, and I think she understood just enough English to know that I was just like in a desperate situation. So she and I walk incredibly slowly back to the pension because she's got mobility issues and I wasn't going to be a jerk about it or anything. So we just get there, and I thought at this point that maybe she was like the mother of the woman that owned the pension or something like that, because like she had a key and all of this. I think now she was probably just also actually staying there, because we got there, she taps her thing to open the front door, and then she closes the front door on me. So I'm just in the pension by myself, and I'm like, okay, well, if Chad comes looking for me, he can't find me. I don't want to leave the door open to go get him, and now I can't get into the room because we've already given back the key and it's through that jail cell door. So I'm in there for a little bit, and the thing is, if you're setting up a Wi-Fi network and you're going to be sharing the password with other people, you probably shouldn't set it up so that the password to get onto the network is the same as the password for your system in general, because like I was trying to get onto the network and we couldn't, but it was like, but you can sign into the system, which is basically like how you log into the website to talk to them about your Wi-Fi experiences and stuff like that. So the same password worked for that, so I just kept rebooting the router and like had the door slightly open, was just like waiting for Chad to maybe come look for me, and eventually the Wi-Fi actually worked. So I'm like, come help me, I got the first door open, but now we need to figure out the second door. So he comes, and we're like, it's obviously way out of arm's reach. It's up on a little bit of a counter. It's through this door that we can't get through, but like we can put arms and stuff through. And he takes off his belt and starts trying to like flick it, but it's just a little bit too far. And then I notice that there is an umbrella, and I'm like, this is a grappling hook situation. So at first I was just gonna try to use the umbrella to do it, but also that's not long enough. And Chad got the brilliant idea of wrapping his belt around the end of the umbrella and then throwing the umbrella through exactly like a grappling hook. And I'm going to show you footage, because I actually got footage of him doing this and actually firstly knocking the pin pad for the interact off the counter, and I was like, oh no, that's not what I wanted to happen, and then actually getting the key. So he does that and I'm like, cool, I'm running upstairs, I'm gonna go get my stuff. Put yourself back in non-disarray, I guess, put the umbrella back, that type of thing. So I run up the stairs, I go into the room, I get my laptop, I put it in my bag. This necessitates me taking a bunch of things out of my bag, because that's just how it works to get to that laptop slot. You have to like take a bunch of stuff out. I'm packing things back in. I'm like, I'll be down in a minute. So I get back down and we toss the key back up on there. And at this point, if we had time, I would have like sent her a message being like, we did it, we got the laptop, and I'm so sorry we knocked the pin pad off, but like we did not have time for that. So we make sure that we have everything. We leave, we close the pension door, and we are now booking it back down that hill, back to the train station. We got back to the train station at 10:23, which again is 2 minutes before when the train was supposed to arrive, based on the fact that it was an hour late. It was another 20 minutes delayed, so we were okay. We actually had time to like pick up a drink and stand there and talk about how ridiculous the situation was, and the fact that we're still going to get on this train, because it was like a 6-hour train ride to where we were going to, and like we didn't want to wait for a later one. That would have messed things up. The only unfortunate part about that is we were standing on the platform, and we'd actually just talked about how like if you have pockets with zippers, they're way better than pockets without zippers and stuff like that, because Chad has a jacket and a hoodie, and like one has zippered pockets and one doesn't. And we get onto the train, we're sitting down, we finally found our seats, and we're just like arranging ourselves because we still have a little bit of that adrenaline from this whole situation. And Chad's like, do you know where I put my hoodie? We're pretty certain that while we were having that conversation about pockets and the holding of things in pockets, zippered or not, his hoodie was like attached to his backpack, but I think it might have come unattached and just was now on the platform when we went for the train. So unfortunately he lost not only his hoodie but his ebook reader and his prescription sunglasses. So we got the laptop back, but he lost these things. The glasses are easily replaceable. I think he's already ordered new ones, or he should do that. This is a reminder to do that if you haven't done that already, Chad. And then the ebook reader he actually kind of wanted to replace anyway, because he had to restart it all the time with a paper clip because it constantly froze. So not the worst thing in the world, but definitely a stressful situation. So yeah, travel update is we're in Bucharest. The next time I do a weekly wrap-up, we will be back home. Anyway, the one book I read this week is called The Last Drop of Hemlock. This is the second in the Nightingale Mysteries series, and this one actually takes place in the 1920s during Prohibition, somewhere in the States. I want to say it's New York. That makes sense. But my brain sometimes just gets rid of details like that. I'm pretty sure it's New York, though. Might be Chicago? I actually don't know. It's somewhere in the States, though. So our protagonist of this one is a woman named Vivian Kelly, and she and her sister were orphaned quite young, and they got skills when they were in the orphanage, so they know how to sew, and her sister is still a seamstress, and due to things that happened in the first book in the series, because this is the second book, she's actually changed jobs a little bit. She's not only doing deliveries for the seamstress service, but she also works at the Nightingale, which is a speakeasy that she was frequenting all the time anyway, so the fact that she now works there is really beneficial for their household. In the first book, there was a murder mystery situation. In this book, there is another murder mystery situation, and I think that's all I'm going to leave it at, besides to tell you that there is a delicious love triangle in this, just based on the fact that she is bisexual and she has a crush with the woman that owns the club, but she's very standoffish about actually having a relationship, even though you can tell that she also has a crush on Vivian. And then this guy who you meet in the first book, and I'll let you figure all of that out on your own, because all of that is quite wonderful and delicious. This one is full of twists and turns and different people that could be doing the things that she's trying to figure out. I love that she's just such an amateur detective. She basically gets into these situations where she just wants to know what's happening to her friends, or if somebody has threatened her family or anything like that. And then there's so many like sub-mysteries as well. Like there's a mystery about this person that she met in the first book who thought that she was her mother, who has been gone for a really long time. So she wants to find that person and find out more about her mom, and maybe eventually find out who her dad was, and all of those types of things. So I love that there's mysteries that we're trying to solve within the book, and then mysteries that seem like they're going to last throughout the series, which is just so much fun. Highly recommend if you like your historical fiction and you like it a little bit queer. The one show that I watched this week was the last 2 episodes of the current season of Queer Eye. Because I fell asleep watching it last week, it's just so wholesome and lovely. I love this show. I wish it was actually longer, because we get to see things like, oh, this is the house, and then this is the house finished. And you do see a little bit of like sped up footage of like people moving things out and painting walls and stuff like that, but I'd like to know a little bit more about that process. And just in general, because it's on Netflix, you have the ability to have this be longer episodes. So I don't know why we're keeping it down to like a 45-minute episode or a 40-minute episode in some cases, but that's just me. I think that's just because I love it so much that I would love to see more of it. I did also just really enjoy that this season was in New Orleans, because our roommate actually went to New Orleans while we've been away, and I'm just so excited to go home, see her, and swap stories. The book I listened to this week is called No Boy Summer by Amy Spalding. This is about 2 sisters. The older sister is our perspective character, and the younger sister pretty much always acts like the older sister. She's got her shit completely together, she knows what's happening, and she's actually decided that for this summer, instead of going on a cruise with their parents, they are going to go to their aunt's house. They're each going to have jobs for the summer. They're not going to see any boys this summer, because when they're seeing boys, that's when there's too much drama, they kind of drift apart from each other, and they really just need to focus on what they want out of their lives. Our main character agrees to this, but she's kind of browbeaten into doing it, and she also has always known about herself that she's also attracted to girls, so when she meets a very cute girl at the coffee shop she's working at, she kind of thinks to herself, well, I'm not technically breaking the no boy rule by seeing this person, and it goes from there. I found this really fun because 1, it's such an interesting premise, and then 2, you do have these sticky situations of, you know, not wanting to come out to people necessarily, or coming out to people just by the factor of you're suddenly in a group of queer friends and they just kind of figure out that you have a crush on somebody of the same gender as you, and like you start seeing each other, but your family doesn't necessarily know, and all of that type of thing. I also really enjoyed just like the queer friend vibes from this. I enjoyed these people kind of understanding things about each other, and it was also just so disheartening because you know that it's going to crumble at some point. Of course it's going to crumble at some point. Somebody's going to find something out. In fact, the girl she's seeing and her sister both end up very, very upset with her for different reasons, and it's just lovely. I just really enjoy this type of contemporary where you know something is going to go terribly, terribly wrong, but you also know that somebody is going to get through it because they've found such a supportive base of people to be behind them, and they just need to learn to actually believe in themselves, and even though they've messed up, they will be able to get through it. I just love it. Bye, sirens. But that's it for this week. If you've read, watched, or listened to any of these, let me know about it down in the comments below. On the way down to the comments, if you hit that subscribe button, that would be very nice of you. If you don't feel like leaving a comment but want to make sure that I know you were here, just leave me an emoji or a smiley face if you happen to be on your keyboard. Some people have asked if there's a way to financially support this channel, so I set up a Ko-fi account, which is a digital tipping service. The link for that, as always, is down below. You can like and share this as you see fit, and I'll see you very soon. Bye!